Welcome to the Your Next Level podcast. I'm your host, Insaaf. Join me every Monday for a new episode where we talk career, manifestation, money, relationships, and so much more. Join us as we show you how to get from where you're at to your next level. You can expect a new episode every single Monday. Welcome to Your Next Level with Insaaf. Yes, thank you so much for coming on the Your Next Level podcast. I am so excited to have this conversation with you because I am so inspired by the way you transitioned from your corporate life to entrepreneurship. And then it's also a different level of entrepreneurship. It is you followed your soul's purpose. And the last time, and the episode that I shared on my podcast as well, is where we spoke about your following your soul's purpose. And today, I think that we are going to have such a valuable conversation. And there's so many people that I know, including myself, is going to learn from your story about the thought process that you went through in making this decision. So, welcome to the Next Level podcast.
Thank you, Insaaf. I am thrilled to be here. I'm back. I'm back since 2023, and I was a different person back then. I was the mindful agile coach back then,
You
and I'm
were.
something else now. I'll probably be something else in the future. But I love that I'm here. I love that you have played such an intricate role in my journey, which we will absolutely speak about. I love everything. I love that I'm here. I love this moment. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And I love that I get to experience like the different transitions in your life and you get to experience that of mine. And
Yeah.
congratulations on like launching your business. That is a big deal. And I'm on the website. I'm
Thank
part of
you.
it, which I'm so honored.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, to kick off, for anyone that may have not heard your other episodes or the episodes that you were on or the previous one that I think it's like maybe three of my episodes ago, do you just want to share with everyone who you are, yeah, and where you are at in your life right now?
Yeah. Hello, I am Yas. I am simply me, a very curious and oftentimes not so patient seeker of truth. That is just my basic self. I am also a wife and a cat mom, and quite recently I became a soulpreneur. I launched my own spiritual business. Yay. I like to say that I'm employed by the universe.
Oh, I love
So I work for
that.
myself, but I do work for myself, but really I'm working for the universe. And my role is to guide those who are on the journey of awakening to their true potential. And I help them to rise above any sort of struggle or suffering and to align with their soul's highest calling.
That
That is me
is
in a nutshell at this
beautiful.
moment. It might change
I
in the
love
next
it.
few months, days.
I love it.
Yeah.
And everything that you shared is exactly what I experienced with you. And we'll leave your details down in the show notes for anyone that wants to explore their soul's purpose. Okay, so take us back to your corporate life. Can you share with us, like,
Yeah.
where you started? And then, yeah, let's kick off with where you started and then we'll transition from there.
Yes, my corporate life, gosh, it feels like it was a different incarnation because the shift has been so drastic. So my corporate life started back in 2015. It was straight out of university. And I stepped into the role of a servant leader. And that is someone who cultivates growth and well-being amongst groups of people. I was also very much into optimizing processes. And my role did change quite a few times across the 10 years. So I started off as a projects analyst and then moved on to being a business analyst. And then lastly, a scrum master. So those in IT software development, you'll know what I'm talking about. Although my role changed every few years, the common thread was I really enjoyed making life better for people. And it looked different across all those roles. So I feel like my calling aligned with me all the way back then. I just didn't know it. I didn't even know that I knew nothing about soul purpose and calling and all of those things. I just knew we are alive, we go to school, we get a job and like that's it. So I did that. But I have to say that it was a struggle. So although I was definitely aligned with who I wanted to be as a person, which was to serve people, I really struggled with fitting in those environments because I am quite a soft, sensitive person. And corporate is not really the place for that. Like from day one, I remember people telling me, and they told me this across my 10 years of being there. You need to thicken your skin. You need to toughen up. And I get it. It really is to everyone's benefit to build resilience, to be able to bounce back from all the setbacks and the difficult situations. I get that. But what was difficult for me was to suppress the things that I value so much, like kindness and compassion and empathy. You could weave that into your role, but I wanted that to be the bulk of my role because that's who I am as a person. It's what comes naturally to me. And corporate was just not the right place for that. So I know that some people might say that there's a problem with corporate, like it's not designed for human beings. I disagree. I believe it is designed perfectly for where we are on our journey. And once you realize that you are no longer a match for it, then you get to step out of it. But there's nothing wrong with corporate. Sure, there's always areas of improvement, but I needed to acknowledge that it was me. I needed to honor who I was, and I needed to actually remove myself from that environment. So that was how it happened for me. The way in which it happened was not ever thought of. I will share that in a moment. It is a very scary decision to leave the comfort and safety of, I know what my job is every single day. I know that I'm going to get my salary on this day of the month or this day of the
Mm.
week. I did not expect this to happen for like 10 years. And you know this because I came to you for coaching a few years ago when I was putting myself out there as a creative person. I had a 10-year plan. And I
Yeah.
remember you telling me, don't you think we can shorten this? But that's how I saw it. It's going to take me 10 years to realize anything from this dream. But yeah, the universe had other plans.
Thank you for sharing that. And in at which point did you know that, like, at which point did you get that feeling that it is time for me to
Mm.
actually like I have to take action now? Like, was it an uncomfortable feeling? I often think that when you need to make a move in any way in your life, whether it's leave a relationship or move somewhere, the universe will make it uncomfortable for you. But I don't know. So I want to
Mm.
hear from you. Was it uncomfortable for you, or did something happen? And you may have like had that feeling like you needed to move, and then it may have only like the move actually happened only like a few months or a few years later. What was like that point where you knew like, okay, it's time?
The moment arrived at the beginning of 2024, which was last year, but really the journey began at least 2 years before that. So I'll give a quick background to the 2 years leading up to the moment. And yes, it was super uncomfortable. So in 2022, that was when I met you.
Yeah,
You
we went in
slid into my
22.
LinkedIn DMs. You hired me. And I actually didn't know what you were doing with your next level and putting yourself out there. I received a link to your podcast from someone at work. They said, "Hey, I think you might be interested in this." I'm so embarrassed to say I didn't know what a podcast was. This is 2022. I didn't know what a podcast was. They sent me a Spotify link. I'm like, what is this? Is this WhatsApp? I don't know. So I'm like, this is all brand new stuff to me. And I listened to just one episode, and that was when the spark ignited. The very first time I listened to your podcast, and then I went on like this binge. I remember there
Oh
was a
my
week
goodness.
where I listened to every episode of your podcast. It was, gosh, yeah, it was a lot. I was like listening to maybe 10 episodes a day.
Oh, wow.
My soul came online. I was just hooked. It was so expansive because when you've just lived unconscious, I'm going to call it that, when you've lived unconsciously for 30 something years and suddenly you are introduced to this other way of living, there is more to life. You actually have a large degree of control over making your life be all that you want it to be. I had no idea that this existed. So when I got a hold of your podcast, Addict Mode, and that inspired me to put myself out there as a creative. Like all of this stuff started bubbling up inside of me. I remember the first thing was my emotions started speaking to me, and I didn't know what to do with it. Like I just felt I have to do something with it. So let me put myself out on social media. But I was too scared, so I came to you for coaching and you took me through that journey and it was wonderful. I had amazing opportunities speaking at events. I got to speak at Your Next Level, Unleash Your Potential. So that was a wonderful journey of like 2 years of inspiration building up.
Mm. And this was while you were doing your corporate job.
So it was wonderful. At the same time, there was also struggle because I did not yet know that the journey doesn't have to be difficult.
Mm.
So I overworked myself. I think it's something that we all have to go through. Like even if you tell someone you don't have to burn yourself out to do it, it's kind of like initiation. You have to do it to learn the lesson so that you don't, hopefully, don't do it again. So I really put my body under a lot of strain because I was working a full-time job and I gave my everything to that job. And then at the same time, I was building this creative expression on the side, which I also gave my everything to. And the version of me 2024 and prior only ever knew how to prioritize career. That was what I was taught growing up. And I guess it came with the generational
Yeah.
cycle breaking contract. Like, yeah, you're going to go through this for many years, and then you're going to learn the hard way that it is not everything. I had to accept that my body was shutting down. This was so it actually started in 2022. The burnout started then. I didn't want to face it because I'm in my early 30s. I cannot accept that I'm getting tired. Like no ways. I will get tired when I'm retired. No, not now. So I kept pushing, and that does no good. So by 2024, I had reached my peak with my burnout. And it's funny because I had reached my peak with my career and creative projects and ventures as well. Everything was peaking. And I got the very strong feeling you need to step back. And it made no sense because like everything was taking off. I had manifested the corporate job of my dreams. Like I attended those workshops of yours to set goals, and every single goal that I wrote down, even to the value of the salary that I
Oh,
wanted, I
wow.
got everything. Like it seemed too good to be true.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Another lesson, hey, that you can actually manifest everything that you want, only to realize, oh, surprise. Like it's not going to give you the experience that you necessarily wanted.
Like, oh, surprise, but
So
I changed my mind.
that too. Or like, surprise, you got it. You don't want it anymore. It's on to the next one. So there was a lot of hard realizations happening at the beginning of 2024, like peak of my career, peak of my creative expression. But my heart is telling me, pull back. And I never really shared this with anyone. I did share it with you because we were having those coaching sessions at the time, and you were all about my forward progression. And I was like, no, my body's saying no. So I mentally decided I'm going to step back from my creative pursuits. I still have my corporate job that I need to give as much as I can to, but the creative side of me, as much as I didn't want to, my body was giving me no choice. So I decided in my heart, in my mind, I will slow down. And why I'm mentioning this, that I didn't share this with anyone, is because it didn't make sense the events that happened following this
Okay.
decision that I made. So I made the decision. I sent a very big wish out to the universe. It was my first wish that I made, like sincere prayer. You can call it a prayer even. And the wish was, please align me with all that is best for me and take away anything and everything that no longer serves me.
That is a
Like
very
I
strong prayer.
I cannot.
It's almost scary.
And it's so simple. It's scary and simple,
Yeah.
right? And at this point, I was ready to, I won't say give up because I hadn't lost hope in being here, living this life. I'm definitely feeling like I want to continue pursuing whatever it is that I meant to be doing, but I definitely gave up on struggling to get there. I
Mm.
was just done. It's exhausting. Trying to force and control everything is exhausting. So that wish that I made, this was in March 2024, towards the end of March. I said this prayer, and in less than a week, the universe acted quickly. In less than a week, two very important synchronicities happened. So I was introduced to Oracle decks for the very first time. I had gotten the calling to go to a bookstore, to walk to the card deck section, not knowing what these things were, picked up my first deck, did my first reading, and I have the deck here. It's called Manifesting with the Fairy.
Oh, I love
I
it.
am going to pull a card at the end. So this was my very first deck, very first time doing a reading. Like you wouldn't take it so seriously when you pick up these colorful cards. You wouldn't think that your life is going to change forever pulling these cards. Like, how is cardboard changing my life? But it happened. So the reading told me that something was going to happen that was going to require a lot of strength from me. And once I go through this event, it was going to put me on an unknown path. There would be a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. It was going to require the greatest amount of courage. And that's a bit of a scary first
Yeah.
reading. Up until that point, nothing tragic ever happened to me. So seeing a reading like that, and it's not to say that card readings are scary. I don't ever want to make it seem like card readings are meant to make you feel fearful. But seeing that this card was telling me you're going to step into complete unknown territory, I thought, no ways this is true because I've never experienced that before. So I took it as I have no idea what I'm doing. Clearly, like this didn't work out. Thank you. It was fun. Bye. And then the next event happened, which was probably like 3 days after I did this card reading. Let's see how I'm feeling right now. Yes, I can talk about it. I have not shared this publicly because it has been so difficult.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
let's
taking a
let's just
deep
go with
breath
it.
as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to share it. So it's very easy for me to hide and pretend like it's been this magical rainbows and unicorns journey of everything just aligning and working out. Yes, it did happen that way. But I also want to acknowledge that there was a lot of pain, there was devastation, there was loss and grief. And it is important that those listening can hear that because when these events happen, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always have to be the path to your highest calling. But I have seen that it is what many people go through in transforming so that they can be the version that is perfectly aligned with what they're here to do. I would like to normalize that devastation can happen and it gets better. Okay. Whew, I feel better now.
Thank,
Okay. So
thank you
what
for sharing
happened?
that.
What happened was an unexpected confrontation from a connection in my workplace. So I will refer to this person as a mentor. They really were a mentor to me. I looked up to them in so many ways. They had actually been on my journey of growing in my career for a number of years. They motivated me. They invested so much in me to bring me to where I was. So I looked at this person as family. I even considered them to be an angel.
Oh.
And I still do, despite what happened. I still do. There was a confrontation towards me that was a major boundary breaker in the way that they spoke to me and what they had asked me to do. And it had nothing to do with my job. So they asked me to basically give up autonomy of my creative pursuits. So the content creation that I was doing outside of work, it was very much mindfulness, spiritual. Yeah, it was actually moving towards spirituality towards the end of that journey. And my career was agile. So it really didn't make sense that my creative work was appearing as a threat. And I had to make a choice to either give up control of what it is that I share in my personal time, or I had to leave. And that was a pretty sucky situation to be in, especially because of it coming from this particular person,
Mm.
someone that
Yeah.
I was so close to. And also the way in it was delivered, that was like my heart shattered into a billion pieces.
I'm sure it was so
And I couldn't do
unexpected.
it was like it caught me so off guard because it was a random meeting, no agenda, where I show up and I'm like, oh, I get to speak to my favorite person. And I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? I thought I made a deal with the universe. Like, why am I being punished? How can you do this to me? So it was a moment of extreme devastation where I seriously could not do anything. Like, I couldn't even give a response on that call. I was crying so much that I just got the words out. Can we talk some other time? I can't. I can't now. And a few days later, I had some time to sleep on it. My ego was not going to accept leaving my job. Like my ego was like, no, I fought to be here. I need my salary. I'm not going anywhere. So I did try to negotiate. We spent days trying to negotiate my freedom. It was so ridiculous. Like thinking about it now,
Yeah, that
it's
sounds
like,
so crazy because it has nothing to do with like your actual like work tasks or anything.
yeah, yes, yes.
Wow.
But I guess your soul and the universe doesn't have to make sense when you are being led to your highest calling. Like it is going to be ridiculous, insanely ridiculous, and you have to just go with it.
Mm.
So I tried negotiating. We explored different avenues of where I would have to suppress my creative side, and I couldn't bring myself to accept any of them. So there was no path where I could just be myself. It always meant me having to be controlled by
Mm.
them. And yeah, it's crazy. It's like, is slavery still here? Have we really moved on? So I'm still at this point, I'm still very scared. Like, I don't know how to exist without a monthly salary. That has been
And
my life.
and also like your corporate identity, I'm sure.
Yes, phew, I'll get there. I'll get there. Yeah. I still couldn't give a response. So I said, can you give me a month? This is too much for me.
Mm.
I am feeling, so I didn't want to hide how I was truly feeling. What I was feeling was that none of this is going to work for me. And it may be necessary for me to step away, but I need time.
Okay.
Can you give me a month? And we agreed that I would get back to them in a month's time. And oh, it was a devastating time. Like showing up at work. At this point, the relationship has turned sour. No amount of trying to be civil can
Mm.
change what happened. And I am so afraid of facing the salary situation because really it comes down to survival. That
Yeah.
is like our biggest fear. I had no idea how to deal with that. I had no knowledge of how to bring in stability. Another reason why I was so afraid was that the contract that I had for the job that I was in, if I chose to leave under the circumstances that I was in, it would mean that I could not work in my industry for several months.
Oh wow.
Do not ask me why I signed that contract. I kicked myself. I kicked myself for signing that contract. At the time when I saw it, it did stick out like this is really strange to prevent someone from earning a
Mm.
living. But when I signed it, I was like, I'm gonna be here forever. Like this is not going to affect me. I
Yeah.
have learned from that. It has made me more wise. But that was another reason why the fear was so significant because I knew if I leave, I can't work. Sure, I could go into a completely different industry, but who's going to take me when I've never done that work or I haven't done it for a number of years? So there was so much that was pulling me away from making that decision that again, I had a conversation with good old universe and I said, please help me. I can't do this. Like I have to admit that I know nothing when it comes to this. I'm actually not going to deal with this. You brought this on. You made this happen to me. You deal with it. Okay, I was a lot kinder, of course, but I essentially handed ownership of this situation
Yeah. So
to
you
whatever
basically
force was
you
guiding me.
surrendered.
Yes, yes. And that is not to say that I was totally fine. No, I was having breakdowns on the daily, multiple breakdowns every single day. But what I kept reminding myself was that this is not for me to solve right now. I gave myself a month. I gave the universe my timeline. Until that date is reached, I actually don't need to stress.
Mm.
And the most amazing thing happened within 3 weeks. So the universe showed up sooner than I had anticipated. My husband got a new job opportunity, which came with an increase in his income. It would not have meant that we would have been at the same level of income if I chose to step away from my career. But because of that increase, it would have meant that we would be okay. We would be
Wow.
able to get by. Yeah. And gosh, when he told me the news, I think I cried when that happened because although I was super, super happy for him, this was an amazing opportunity and a level up in his career. But it was also me acknowledging the universe came through.
Yeah. In a really like unexpected
Yeah.
ways, because I'm sure you thought like something was going to come through for you directly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was another lesson to learn that when you require support from anyone, whether they're physical, non-physical, the support won't always show up in the way that you would like it to.
Mm.
So for me, it was a bit unsettling to give up my independence, if you know what I mean, like to
Okay.
give up my financial independence. That was something that was drilled into me from childhood to always be financially dependent. So to allow myself to be taken care of was it was something that I needed to learn. And I think that's why it came in that way for me because I needed to learn how to be held by someone else when
Mm.
life taught me to not be held by someone.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, I accepted it and I handed in my resignation. And that is, I don't know if I will have more moments in my life where I can say that I felt like the biggest badass. So powerful. Like, yes, my life is falling apart in the background. Yes, I don't have a salary, whatever. I'm losing my career, I'm losing my title, whatever. But to stand up to someone in the most gracious way, to take back your power, that for me is that is what we're here to do.
I
That is the
love
work
that.
that we're here to do.
I
Yeah.
loved that so much because I think like that is the first time I have ever heard someone talk about leaving a company like that. Because like usually it's like a sad story and like closing a chapter story. And yes, it is closing probably a book in your case, right? Just the way
Yeah.
you like owned it and yeah, took your power back. Wow, that is like really powerful.
Yeah. And what makes it so much more special is that I saw the soul lessons in that whole scenario. So you remember I mentioned that I looked up to this mentor as an
Mm.
angel. I could still see them as an angel because they were actually helping me break free from suffering. The
Because they
execution was horrific.
mm. Sorry. So they needed to be how they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was no other way I would have left. So they played their role perfectly. It has given me a lot to think about how I want to address people in situations in the future, should I ever come up against that. Like I would really like to not be harsh towards people, but the harshness that I received was actually what I needed to kick me in the
Mm,
butt so that I could get moving. Because I was too comfortable where I
yeah.
was. Yeah.
Oh,
But it was a journey to make peace with it, to forgive. And the fact that I can talk about it now and not be a complete snot ball, it tells me that I've come a long way. So it does take time. It's been over a year of processing everything that happened. So just a note to those listening, should there be a difficult event that comes up so that you can transform who you are, just know that it does take some time and it's okay because there's no rush.
hmm.
There is no rush.
Well, that is, I am so inspired, and I think it's so bold in the decision that you made because I think sometimes people will like sit through the pain.
Mm.
And like you said, that
It was tempting.
there was some like probably big like mindset and emotional adjustments to make in not being like financially or being financially dependent on someone else. And I imagine like that's also an identity shift to know that like it's actually okay. Like it's okay to receive.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
the universe is also what is the word making space for you to receive and to like have this moment to make the transition through someone else to acknowledge
Yeah.
that yeah it's such a big deal because I think some people like wouldn't even see it and they may even like in that like transition like think like why is this happening to me but my partner's getting a promotion like why me
Yeah.
but yeah so I think some people could see it in that way but yeah in the way that you received everything was like this is making space for you
Yeah.
and in like what you said and what you asked for, which was like, you don't want to fight anymore. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
difficult. Let it be more easier. Thank you for
It is a
sharing.
game changer. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for giving me a safe space to share this because I have known for a long time that it is necessary to share this story because with the way that the world is changing right now, people are waking up.
Mm,
People are
people
waking up
are.
in the hundreds of thousands, and they're going to be wondering, why on earth is my life falling apart? And so I knew that at some point I need to be okay to talk about this, but I didn't want to rush it. So thank you for you came in at the perfect time that I have now arrived at a place where I can talk about it and not be in tears. And we get to learn that amazing things can come from it.
Mm. And I really love like the way that
Yeah.
you approached even the conversation. So thank you for being so vulnerable and so honest about it. And then also in the prayer, I think there's so many lessons in what you shared. Like I think if someone is going through this right now, or even if it is a different situation, the like just writing down the prayer, and if you're already saying it
Yeah.
intentionally as well. And then also knowing and keeping that faith that something will come through for you. Like it doesn't have to be difficult. Like just the
Mm,
belief that something will come through for you. And be open to the miracle of how it's going to come through and just trusting that it's on its way, that everything is
yeah.
happening, even if it seems chaotic, it's like for your highest being and what you probably don't even know that you want yet. So yeah, so now
Mm,
you've resigned from your job and you so obviously when you resigned you shared like you were taking your power back. So can you talk to me about
yeah.
like that shift because when you resigned you didn't have this business yet but you had your oracle
Mm.
cards had your oracle
Yeah.
cards with you. So what happened from that moment to now getting to having your own business?
Okay. Gosh, it's been a lot. I feel like I've lived multiple lifetimes in the last year. I must have had at least 10 ego deaths.
Okay.
because probably much more. But nobody tells you that when you have been stressing and forcing, controlling for a number of years and you suddenly stop, your body is going to break down. And I hope I'm not scaring anyone by saying this. Like it needs to happen. So when I left work, by the next week, initially you think, woo, I'm on vacation. I'm in paradise. Like it seems like the dream to not be working. It was a nightmare to wake up and have no purpose. It was horrible. And on top of that, my body was now breaking down at an even faster rate than what it was when I was going through my burnout symptoms. So, what I learned was that when you put your body into an environment that is safe. So, in my example, I stopped working. I gave myself time to rest. That was my body acknowledging it's safe. All of the toxicity and negativity that has been suppressed in your every cell of your body, in your DNA, probably from past generations as well, that is all going to rise to the surface when your body acknowledges that it is safe. Now, I did not know this at the time, so I was losing my mind every single day. I was questioning, what am I doing? Should I go back? I can't go back. My contract won't allow me to go back.
Wow.
What do I do? I was never at a dangerous point where I didn't want to exist anymore, but it was definitely really, really difficult to exist, to not have a purpose. When you've had a job to serve people every single day and suddenly you don't have that, when you don't have the option to go back to work in your industry,
Mm.
when you don't even have hobbies because you've only ever prioritized career and you suddenly have all this space, you lose your mind. And I had to allow myself to lose my mind over months. It was the only way. My cards told me that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. My cards was telling me, stop, slow down, because I was trying to build my next business. I immediately, like, I left my career and I'm like, I have to get something going. Like, it's just unacceptable for me to not be working. So, my cards, I was doing card readings sometimes every day. I was doing card readings like a few times, like 3 to 5 times in a day. Like, I'd become obsessed. And again, I think that it's part of the process. You need to go through that chaotic, reckless behavior and come out of it. But my cards were telling me, now is not the time. I knew it last year that I was being gifted time to rest, to be a child again, to play. Like my only responsibility was to play, and I couldn't accept it. Like that's how deep the conditioning was. I have to be working all the time,
Mm.
or I'm not good enough, or people will not look at me in the same way. They'll view me as a failure. So I fought with myself for at least 3 months, and the exhaustion was so much that I eventually had to just pack everything up. I finally accepted, okay, fine, I will stop.
Wow.
Yeah, so
How, like,
there's a lot that happened.
yeah. What was the point where you're like, okay, I need to stop? Were you like exhausting your own mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was exhausted every day. I would wake up drained. I would push from the morning to the night trying to figure out what is my business going to be because I didn't know what it was going to be. I was trying to design a website. I was fixated on making something happen. And what my body was telling me was, you're in a season of winter. Why are you trying to bloom in
Mm.
winter? Yeah. So the exhaustion became unbearable, and I was actually hating the journey. And that was like a big eye opener for me when I finally admitted to myself, this sucks. I don't want my dream life to be built like this.
Mm.
I don't want to be exhausted. I don't want to have to feel like I'm only good enough if I have something to show people. So when I finally admitted I am the problem, nobody was asking me to do anything. So another eye opener. I sucked as my own boss. I needed to just stop. There was no, it wasn't a case of take it slow. It was a case of stop everything.
Mm.
And so I did. And a lot of changes happened in my life in other areas. What I also learned in going through that process was that when you are in your season of transformation and you're shifting from one version to another, probably 10 versions higher, everything that is in your life that is not aligned, that is not a match for who you are and who you are becoming, it has to be transformed or it has to leave. So I had so many relationships that fell away. I had to navigate family freaking out over this decision that I made. It
Yeah,
took months
there's that as
to get.
well. Your family, yeah.
Yeah. And I totally get where they're coming from. So my parents have only known stability in
Mm.
this way.
Mm.
You work a full-time job, you get a monthly salary, you do your best to grow in your career consistently. That is all they've known. So I can't even like say, why are you not understanding? Because they did not go on the journey of expanding my mindset. They have no clue what's happening
Mm.
in my mind. They don't know that I'm having conversations with the universe. And I can't tell them that. They're not going to get it.
Yeah.
They're going to put me in a psychiatric ward. So I had to navigate that. It was family, it was friendships, it was communities, all of these circles that I was in. I'm now realizing I don't fit here anymore. And my ego wants to cling onto everything. So it's so sad the way that I tried to hold onto these people and places. And I tried to do extra personal development on their behalf. Like, I will change myself so that I can keep you. Like,
Oh
I
my
don't want to
gosh.
lose you. There was so much that was falling away. It wasn't just career, it wasn't just salary. It was like everything that made up my life was going. And I
Well,
couldn't handle it. And I was now freaking out. Am I going to lose my husband? Am I going to lose my cat? Like, do they get to come with me? I can't deal with this. So again, I hope I'm not scaring anyone.
no, you're being
it
honest
it
about
needed
the
to happen.
process.
Yeah. Yeah. It needed to happen because when you are finally willing to accept that change is inevitable and that letting go of what is dense and draining your life force, when you finally love and respect yourself enough to let it go, it doesn't mean that you don't love them anymore. It doesn't mean that you don't care, but you are giving that love and care to yourself. You're making yourself a priority.
Mm.
That is what is going to bring in things beyond your wildest dreams, friendships, new relationships, new career paths. I didn't know I was going to go into astrology. Like, how was that ever a thing at this point in my life? I didn't know. But because I made the space, and yes, it sucked. It was so uncomfortable. And every day I just kept telling myself, it has to change. It will change. Winter doesn't last forever. I was really annoyed that my winter was much longer than the winter that we experience in nature. It was not 3 months. It was like almost a year. Damn you. It was hard. But I kept telling myself, at some point, it has to change. And it finally did at the beginning of 2025. That was when astrology popped up into my Instagram feed. It was never planned. So, because I had grown this relationship with Oracle decks at this point, and I was really into it, like, I've built up quite a collection.
You
I,
have
I think
how many decks do you have?
I think I have 40.
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
40.
So you have more than exclusive books.
Yeah.
You have the whole Hay House collection.
Goodness. I think it's safe to say that I'm obsessed with
Oh my
Oracle decks
gosh.
because I was so into it. Of course, whoever was guiding me at this point knew that the only way to get my attention is through an Oracle deck. An Oracle deck that incorporated astrology showed up on my Instagram feed. And
Okay.
I was like, what? this is super cool. So I got it. I started learning about astrology. I started learning about what my soul's purpose is. And that was how everything happened. It was never planned. It just showed up. I took it in. I chose to learn for myself, put myself through the journey. And of course, the miracles just keep on coming. The gift that keeps on giving. People came to me asking me for readings, and I had no business. I wasn't advertising. Nobody knew that I was doing this for myself. But it's almost like the universe was saying, you don't even have to look for clients. We're going to send them to you.
Wow. Like
Yeah.
we
So
will
that's
show
how,
you. Wow.
yeah, literally, that's what happened because I did the readings. As the people came to me, I did the readings. I was like, yes, of course. Like, I've done this for myself. It's amazing. I would love to help you. Amazing conversations with these people. I was seeing breakthroughs happen in the moment on the calls. And it took a month. Like, I seriously take time to process things. It took me a month of doing multiple readings when it hit me. I think this is my business. I think this is it.
You're like, I'm having so much
Like,
fun.
yeah. So I started in March this year. That was when it hit me. This is how I get in. This will be my starter offering. I started designing my offers. I learned how to build a website. Do not ask me how that happened because, like, that is not my background. But when you are motivated,
And your website is
amazing
so
things happen.
beautiful. Your website is really beautiful.
Thank you. And you also add to its beauty.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
so grateful too.
So, so it took me a good 3 months and I overworked myself. I went back into my old habits of overworking and I did burn myself out again, but it was fun. I was sick for my launch, the day that I launched, which was the 1st of June.
Mm.
I was sick and I think I did that to myself, but I was like, worth it. I'm so happy with what I produced. Yeah, that is just the very short version of the last year that's brought me here.
Thank you for sharing that. A lot happened in that year.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Like I get now why you say that it's like you lived so many lives and like so many ego versions had to die
Yeah.
in so many like different like almost like different chapters, but it's like you're reading through the book quite quickly. And but that's your life.
Yeah.
That's been your
Yep.
that's been your life. Wow. But now you're on the other side.
Yeah.
And what is it like working for yourself? And you know what? I think we're gonna have an if you are happy to, we'll have another episode to talk all about like actually
Yeah.
going into your business, etc. But what is it like being your own boss? Okay, because I know like a lot of people dream about being their own boss, okay? But it could be
Yeah.
because work is just like annoying. But working for yourself is not for everyone
Mm.
because no one's holding you accountable.
Yes.
You have to hold
Oh
yourself
my goodness.
accountable. You have to like you have to bring in your own money. Like if you don't perform, the money's not going to come in. Even though I feel so like that seems like such a bad thing to say, like perform, but basically like you need to do the work and you need to put in the hours, etc. Whereas with a corporate job, even if you don't work, you probably still get paid. So holding yourself accountable and all of that. Like how was that like when it started off? And how would someone know if it's
Yeah.
not for them? I hope that's like a fair question
Mm.
to ask.
Yeah. So the experience, if I can summarize, it is both liberating, which is amazing. It's the best feeling, but it is also very uncertain. And although I'm still really early on the journey, I'm beginning to realize that the uncertainty never goes away. So being able to work for yourself, to choose what you work on, what lights you up, to choose your work
Mm.
schedule, to design your own lifestyle. Like for me, this has nothing to do with my work, right? But the fact that I get to start my day taking my cat for a walk,
Mhm.
that is like,
Sign me
that
up
just
for
makes
that.
it. Yeah. Like I couldn't do that when I was working my 8 to 5 because there's just not enough time in the morning and I cannot take my cat out before the sun has even come up. So That to me is one of the greatest blessings that I get to have flexibility to make time for the things that really matter to me. So that's where the liberation
Mm,
comes in. You have freedom to do what you want. On the other extreme, the uncertainty of not knowing whether your business is going to take off, whether it's going to appeal to people. It can also be unsettling when you have 100 things that you want to do,
mm.
because when you have the freedom, you're like, oh my goodness, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I want to do that. And I want to do juggle all the things because you're so
Yeah.
excited and you have control over everything that you do. You can very easily go nowhere. Like nothing will happen if you're focusing on 100 things and you don't have a certain level of accountability to show up
Mm,
and to make sure that you're seeing forward movement
mm,
in something specific. And I did experience that in the early days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to write a book. I want to start a podcast. I want to build a website. I want to do readings. I want to be a content creator on all the different platforms. Like they're all wonderful. But if you don't get focused, if you don't get laser focused, you're gonna accomplish nothing. You're gonna feel like you're busy, but you got nothing to show for it.
this is so
So
good, eh? This is so good. You are like speaking the truth.
yeah, preach.
Really.
That is the hard part. Okay, of course, being able to call in an income, that is also a difficult aspect of being an entrepreneur. If you can find a way to make peace with the fact that you're not gonna know, you're just not. You can follow your highest calling, you can follow your passion, but in the end, life will let it unfold in the way that it's meant to be. And if it's not the way that you envisioned it, it's not that you did anything wrong. You just you just keep on going.
Yeah.
If you can be okay with not having complete certainty around money, and I don't want to be like a financial expert because I'm not. I cannot give advice on the practical side of money. Definitely have your budgeting in place. Hire a financial advisor or an accountant if it's what you need. But if I can speak to the energetic side of money, I've learned that money is a tool that will support you on the journey. And how we discussed, it came in a form that was unexpected in my early days, which was through my husband. It then came in different forms as time went on, and it still wasn't in the way that I expected it to be, which was through my business. That is something that will take time to build. But if you can make peace with the fact that your worth is not attached to money, the success of your business and what you stand for is not attached to money, it will help you so much. And to know that if money is not showing up, it doesn't mean that you should just drop everything,
Mm,
abandon your dreams. It just means that money is not needed at this particular stage. There's likely, most definitely, abundance and wealth and prosperity showing up in other areas that you need so much more than what money is going to give you. If you can see that, if you can take that in and build safety within yourself and know that the money will come when the time is right,
mm,
then entrepreneurship is something to
mm.
experiment with. And like, I don't want to talk like I'm an expert and I know it all. I'm literally what I started in June. I'm 1.5 months in. This is what I've learned. It is uncomfortable. I fight with myself every day, but I'm going to keep on going because I know in my heart this is where I'm being called. If you know, like, I don't know how to describe it. You will just know in your bones, in your cells, I am being called in this direction. That is how
Yeah.
you know it's for you. And don't give up just because it's tough. It's gonna be tough. Like that's it's gonna be tough. But there's no way around it.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that. And like, I was getting so excited when you were sharing because everything you shared was just, it was so juicy in the way that I can't wait for the person on the other side to take in and consume all this information and get the reality of like the freedom life and deciding
Yeah.
when you want to work and which projects you want to work on. And when you are thinking about like, just the excitedness of completing one thing and then moving on to another thing. But then also the other side of it, that there are going to be challenges. I have not in my, I don't know, I probably have over 12 years of corporate experience. And then in your next level experience, I maybe have 4 years. The amount of challenges I've experienced in your next level in 2 years does not compare to my 12 years corporate. The amount of like mistakes, the amount of mistakes I've made in your next level, like
Oh,
I probably didn't even make mistakes in corporate because
yeah.
they're just so like so much bigger. But I
Yeah.
love that you said just keep going. Like keep going and keep going when you feel like in your heart that this is the thing. This is the thing. Because get through the challenges now instead of I would think like once it gets hard, then you quit. And then you start something new and then it gets hard
Mm.
and then you quit. But even if you've pushed and pushed and pushed and like it's not working, that thing is going to transition you to something else. But keep
Yeah.
going. I think the important message is like it's just to keep going. If you, obviously if you feel like this is truly for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you. This was, gosh, this was incredible. I am so excited even just to listen to it back and then just take in everything that you have shared again and dissect everything. For someone that is thinking about making the transition right now, or that have been even thinking about making the transition and that is scared, what is like something that you can share with them that kept you going?
Ah, there's a lot of advice out there. Like people will say, know your why, remember your why. But I have to be honest and say that it did nothing for me because it's so difficult when you're going through major life transitions. Your ego is breaking down, your life is falling apart. A sparkly why and a vision board is not going to cut it.
Mm,
So I will give more practical advice that has helped me so much. And that is to identify the support that you need, to not be ashamed of needing support, and to do everything that you can to call it in, whether it requires you investing money in it or manifesting free support because it exists. It has happened to me.
mm,
So, what that has looked like for me over the journey is investing in a therapist, investing in coaches. I've had business coaches, I've had life coaches, investing in oracle decks. I promise you, the personal transformation and support that can come from an oracle deck, it blows my mind. And that is why I have so many, because they have been my friends. They have been my biggest supporters on this journey. And whatever that support looks like, if you need to like get physical movement in to get your mental health better, sign up for the gym.
mm.
If you need connection, if you're feeling lonely, reach out to someone. Like you'd be surprised that you might feel like no one really gets what you're going through, but they don't have to. People can just be there for you. A human being just being there for you is enough. So identify what you need. And I actually do this on a regular basis. I've got a calendar like meeting with myself every quarter to check in with myself. What support do you need
I
mentally,
love
emotionally,
that.
spiritually, physically? And it doesn't have to be everything. It's just like the top one or two things. What do you
Yeah.
truly need right now? Give it to yourself. Like it was hard for me this last year to tap into my savings to invest in support like therapy and coaching. But the thing is, I had to also be brutally honest and say the savings will help future me, but I might not exist in the future if I don't give myself the support right now.
That
I
is a
need to
good
live.
argument to make.
I don't care if on the other side of this I finished all my savings. The fact is I got to survive this.
Yeah.
So be open to investing in support that you need and it will take you a long way.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
love that exercise. I am definitely going to do that exercise to think about what is the support that I need in in all of those areas, and there might be in some areas that I'm giving myself the support that I haven't realized yet, and then in others that I need to increase the support. Okay, let's get into the oracle cards. Okay, are you ready to
Yes.
do?
So,
Okay,
yes, I chose this particular deck,
okay,
Manifesting with the Fairies, because this is the deck that actually gave me the insight into the transition that I was going to be making. So earlier when I mentioned I did my very first card reading, it was with this deck. So I thought, how special would it be to bring this deck to share a message with those of you wanting to go on this journey yourself, or maybe you're already on the journey? What guidance is wanting to come through for you? So I'm going to set the intention that whatever message comes through will serve every person that is listening for their highest good and for the highest good of all. And what I'll do is I will show the card. I'll hold it up to the camera, and I will also ask that you maybe take a second to take in the card yourself. So you
okay,
are more than welcome to pause this video, and then Insaaf, you and I can share what our interpretations of the
okay.
card is.
I
But I
love your
definitely want the
interpretations. Like,
listener, you always come in with a different interpretation as well. So everyone's interpretation is wonderful and valid. Okay, so let's ask the question, how can I support myself on the journey? If I have a dream of transitioning from a full-time job to entrepreneurship, how can I support myself?
okay, okay. Let's
Okay,
take a deep
we've got a
breath.
winner. You're
Okay,
gonna love this one.
am I?
Optimism.
Optimism. Oh my gosh, look at that card. It's so beautiful.
It is. It's got there's literally a rainbow. It's
Literally,
got everything.
you know, a rainbow is my universal sign that everything's going to be okay.
There we go. There we go. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So take a second to pause. Consider your own interpretation of what optimism means to you. And Insaf, what do you think?
So, yeah, that everything is going to be okay, and there is abundance from all the different angles, even the ones that you wouldn't expect, because that rainbow, it's coming, it's like there she has rainbow wings, and then it's coming from the sky, and then it's
Mhm.
also like at the bottom. Like she is just filled with so much abundance, and she is like shining the abundance as well. So my interpretation is like when you are open to receive, so much abundance will come in, and you'll receive so much that you'll be able to give it to others when you truly like trust in yourself.
Yeah. And I like that your universal sign is a rainbow as well. It feels like such a beautiful confirmation.
Yeah, I love that card. What is your interpretation?
My interpretation, I see so many strings of color, like it's just bursting everywhere. And I feel like the optimism on the journey can surprise you
Mm.
by showing up in so many different things, so many different avenues, so many different aspects of your life. Like I mentioned, being able to take my cat on a walk is one of the best things that I get to experience on this journey. And like that is one of the colors on the rainbow that adds to me feeling more optimistic,
Mm.
the things that make me feel good. So I feel like the message here is to don't only look to your career to feel optimistic. Don't only pour optimism into career. Like, yeah, of course, it's important. We need money to survive in this 3D reality. But there's so much more. There's so much more to who you are. There's so much more to your life. Career is like 0.5% of who you are and your life. There's so much to look forward to. And can you see that she's holding a cup in her hands?
Oh, I couldn't see it. I could just see, now I can
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, I couldn't see it initially. Wow. I
So
love
I
everything you
feel like
shared.
and it's like I'm only getting this interpretation now. I've had this deck for over a year. But every time you look
Like,
at the cards, something new comes through.
yeah, I'm just like, I'm so obsessed with like everything you're sharing.
So fill your cup with all the areas of your life that is showing up for you. And that will truly carry you through on this journey. And I can speak from experience that when you pour into every other area of your life, the career path becomes so much easier. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you
letting me
so
share this.
much. Thank you so much. I haven't had like a guest on the podcast in such a long time, and this was just like the perfect episode. Thank you for everything that you shared and for your vulnerability and being honest about the experience, the great parts of it, and then the parts that one still needs to understand further. I'm sure that whoever is listening has benefited already so much. Yes, thank you for coming on as always. And I definitely would want to
Thank you.
do another episode just discussing like your business and the decisions in there. I think it would help the listeners. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Insaaf. I appreciate you. I appreciate every one of you listening. Go for it. If you're wondering, like as Insaaf said in our previous conversation, the thing that you're thinking of, do it.
This is your
Go for it.
sign.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll chat to you in the next episode. Bye.